I'm Sarah Dye from the Northwestern University's Purchasing Consortium, and today, as part of the UK UPC Modern Slavery series, I'll be talking on the subject, what is the Modern Slavery Act? You can see on the slide the 8 consortia that work in partnership as UK UPC to establish routes for higher education and further education bodies to purchase goods and services. First things first, what is the Modern Slavery Act? It's an act of the UK Parliament which came into force in 2015. The Act consolidated existing slavery and human trafficking offences and introduced new preventative measures, support systems and a regulatory body. There are new measures within the Act such as trafficking reparation orders which use seized assets to compensate victims and prevention orders to ensure that those who pose a risk of committing modern slavery offences have restrictions on their ability to work in certain fields or professions such as with children. The Act should be viewed in the wider context of global efforts to protect human rights and codify due diligence reporting to manage exploitation risks within the supply chain. As you can see on the slide, there are a myriad of preceding and forthcoming frameworks with a focus on understanding and managing the role of complex supply chains in perpetuating and concealing modern slavery around the world. Organisations should both understand any legal obligations that might apply when conducting business in a country and also be conscious of and receptive to the wider moral and social forces that are driving measures to tackle modern slavery, to ask yourselves, should you be taking action beyond any obligations imposed on you by law? The wide-ranging nature of the Modern Slavery Act means that not all elements of the Act have direct relevance to businesses. However, Section 54 of the Act has a specific focus on transparency in supply chains. The requirements of Section 54 apply to commercial organisations with an annual turnover above a certain threshold, which is currently set at 36 million, and these are businesses that carry out business in any part of the UK. The overarching requirement of Section 54 is the production of an annual slavery and human trafficking statement which outlines the steps the organisation has taken during the financial year to ensure that slavery and human trafficking is not taking place in any part of its supply chains and in any part of its business. Section 54(5) gives guidance on areas that should be considered for inclusion in the statement, including risk identification and mitigation, policies and due diligence. Section 54(6) designates the requirements around approval and signature, and Sections 54(7) and 54(8) outline the publication requirements to satisfy the goal of transparency. These elements are considered in more detail in our next presentation, What is a Modern Slavery Statement? In 2020, the government announced plans to strengthen the Modern Slavery Act's transparency legislation. Some of the measures within this reform relevant to businesses are, firstly, mandating the key topics that modern slavery statements must cover and requiring companies to state where no action has been taken under a particular heading. Next, mandating reporting through a centralised reporting service, the Modern Slavery Statement Registry, which launched in March 2021, and you'll find the link to this on the slide. Next, establishing a single reporting deadline, which is set at the 30th of September. And finally, reviewing measures to improve compliance, including fines, which the government announced in 2021 will include financial penalties for organisations which fail to meet their legal obligations under Section 54. Understanding the Modern Slavery Act is in part about understanding potential legal obligations on your organisation around modern slavery, but it's also about recognising that there are wider societal, moral obligations and expectations that extend beyond the legal requirements that are enumerated in the Act. Global movements around eradicating contemporary forms of slavery recognise that no business, industry or sector is unaffected by the risks of modern slavery in the supply chains of the products and services that you buy, use or sell. It's incumbent upon your organisation to understand the modern slavery risks within your supply chain and to take action to manage these risks. The next presentation in this series will explain what a modern slavery statement is and why even organisations that are not obliged under the Modern Slavery Act to publish a statement should consider doing so. Thank you.